Galactic Standard Year 9509 Location: High Orbit, Earth. Above the blue and green marble called Earth, 3 ships hung in silence. Not human ships. Not council ships. These were organic hulls, thousands of years old, coiled like sleeping serpents, glimmering with crystalline growths that hummed with a kind of memory beyond metal and mathematics. They belonged to the Kithri Collective, the first sapient race to map the stars. The ones who invented language before combustion. The ones who taught gravity to bend before light knew how to curve. And they had a rule, one they never broke. Never step on Earth. Not even once. That had been the policy for 11,000 years. Until today. Galactic Council Archive. Entry 11462, Species. Kithri. H. Prestellar Epoch. 11000 plus Galactic Cycles. Technological Index. Tier 0.5. Transcendent Class. Political stance on Earth. Refuses to engage directly. No embassies. No surface visits. Known rationale, classified. Repeated denials to explain. Nickname among younger species, the Timeless Exiles. Nickname in Terran intelligence files, the ones who looked and walked away. EarthGov HQ, Geneva, United Earth Territory. The room was still, despite the flurry of data traffic spiking through every secure channel. The president of Earth, Amara Lindholm, sat with her fingers steepled as she stared at the transmission on the central hollow. A single phrase, translated from an ancient root tongue no AI could parse without pre-approved Kithri lexicons. Permission to send one. Singular. Kithri. The first ever to request contact. After millennia of silence. Amara narrowed her eyes. Why now? Admiral Youssef of Earth's Orbital Defense Fleet leaned forward. Doesn't matter. The real question is, do we say yes? The room fell into heavy silence. Because the Kithri were not just old. They were terrifyingly polite, and never acted without reason. Their silence on Earth wasn't disinterest. It was deliberate exclusion. Something on Earth had made them turn away long ago. And now one wanted in. Orbit, aboard the Kithri vessel Memorite. The Kithri emissary stood before the threshold pod, gazing down at the blue planet. His body shimmered with spectral skin, long tendrils drifting around his form like woven mist. His eyes, there were no pupils, just depth. Galaxies reflected back from within them. Name, Tamarin Zell. Age, 7,126 years. Designation, Dreamkeeper 3rd Class. Purpose, classified. Tamarin whispered a phrase in his own language. A lament. A promise. And then stepped into the descent capsule. T+3 minutes, entry begins. Cameras followed the capsule as it slipped through Earth's upper atmosphere. No flames. No shockwave. It simply phased through as though gravity had parted for it. Dr. Ethan Chow, lead xenoanthropologist of Earth's diplomatic corps, stared at the readings in disbelief. It's not using propulsion. Then how is it moving? His assistant asked. It's not, Ethan whispered. Earth is moving for it. Landing site. Nepal, the quiet valley of Sarnu. The Kithri didn't land in a city. Didn't request parades. Didn't arrive in the centers of power. Tamarin touched down in an empty, silent valley where winds whispered through ancient rock. A place humans had mostly forgotten, except for the monks that still meditated there, barefoot under starlight. As his form drifted from the capsule, the earth seemed to still. Animals stilled. Wind paused. And far, far below the crust, something old seemed to stir. Tamarin knelt and pressed one glowing palm to the soil. His voice echoed through space-time, not in sound but through vibration felt in the bone. I have returned to the wound. Geneva, emergency briefing. Dr. Chow stood in front of the live feed, explaining as fast as he could. Thousands of years ago, before humans were even upright, there was an encounter. Some records call it the unspoken threshold. The Kithri have hinted at it for millennia, but never revealed details. President Lindholm folded her arms. You're saying Earth was involved in something before we could even build fires? Yes. Then why avoid us now? Dr. Chow swallowed. Because they didn't avoid us. They saw something. Something on Earth. Something they refused to witness again. Nepal, 8,000-foot elevation observation drone feed. Tamarin began to walk. But it wasn't random. It was a path carved by time itself, following ley lines no human had mapped, moving through air that bent around him like it was ashamed to touch. The monks from a nearby temple emerged in silence. They did not run. Did not kneel. They simply watched. One, a blind woman in her 90s, walked to Tamarin and bowed. "Welcome back," she said softly in a language she had never learned. Tamarin replied in kind. And they embraced, old friends who had never met. Deep Earth Monitoring Station, Thorn Array. Below the Himalayas, pressure sensors lit up. Tectonic plates trembled, not violently but rhythmically, as if breathing. And then a word, encrypted in neutrino patterns, radiated outward from the planet's mantle. Awake. Every station across Earth received it. The Kithari ships above did not respond. Instead, the two orbiting vessels turned away, leaving Tamarin behind. Later that night, field camp near the temple. Ash-covered skies blanketed the valley. Tamarin sat across from President Lindholm, Admiral Youssef, and Dr. Chow near a flickering campfire. "You've kept your distance for over 10,000 years, Amara said. But now you send one. Why?" Tamarin's eyes glowed. His voice was gentle. "Because you're beginning to remember." Dr. Chow leaned forward. "Remember what?" Tamarin turned to the fire. Then whispered, "You are not the galaxy's youngest child. You are its most dangerous amnesia." Everyone froze. "What does that mean?" Tamarin's body rippled with a grief older than memory. "You do not know what sleeps beneath your feet. But we do. That is why we never came. Not to protect ourselves, but to protect you." Transmission intercept, unknown origin routed via lunar relay. A signal no one traced. No known encryption. Just 3 words. The stirring begins. Location: Earth, Himalayan camp, 2317 local time. The fire crackled between them, but no one moved. President Lindholm stared at Tamarin Zell like she was trying to decode a ghost. The Kithari emissary sat perfectly still, watching the flames as if they spoke in a language only he could hear. "You said we're beginning to remember?" she pressed. "What is it that Earth forgot?" Tamarin finally looked up. "When your species first stood, trembling on 2 legs, he said, you stood not alone." Admiral Youssef narrowed his eyes. "You mean other races? Ancient visitation?" "No," Tamarin's voice was low. "You were accompanied by something born here. It walked with you. Laughed. Killed. What?" And then it vanished, leaving behind only whispers and stone, fire and myth, and a silence that shaped your soul. Dr. Chow leaned forward. "What was it?" Tamarin didn't answer. Not directly. Instead, he opened one slender hand, palm up. A ripple of violet light shimmered into existence above it, a rotating strand of DNA clearly human. But it was wrong. Because coiled inside the familiar double helix was a third spiral, a ghost thread of light, interlaced with ancient complexity. Not synthetic. Not alien. Primal. Terrestrial. Geneva, EarthGov Analysis Lab 07 Code Black. Dr. Lila Okonkwo, Earth's foremost human genomic historian, rubbed her temples. "This isn't possible." Across from her, the scan floated in real time, the exact same triple helix projection Tamarin had conjured. "We've mapped the entire genome. Billions of sequences. What we're seeing doesn't show up in any public database." The lab AI chirped in, "Correction, this fragment has appeared 13 times. In isolated populations. Deep ancestry samples only. Why wasn't it flagged before? Because it never activated. It's dormant." Dr. Okonkwo stared harder. Until she saw it. Not a gene. Not code. A map. It wasn't just repeating patterns. It was instructions. Coordinates. Nepal, Sarna Monastery beneath the crypt floors. Tamarin's feet whispered over the stone as he descended, alone. The monks allowed him passage without question. They didn't know why. They just felt it. He reached the lowest level, where a circle of dustless stone sat untouched by time. Its carvings predated every local tradition. No one had translated them. No one had dared. But Tamarin did not read them. He sang to them. A tone deeper than vocal cords, older than language. And beneath his feet, the carvings shifted, revealing a hidden cavity. Inside it, a shard of obsidian laced with starlight. A fossilized tooth too large to be primate, too human to be alien. And an orb. Smooth. Metal. Cold. When he touched it, the orb glowed. And deep within the earth, something heard him. Antarctica, Outpost Delta 7, Cryo Layer 4. Technician Maria Sangre didn't believe in myths. She believed in rock, temperature, seismology. So when the deep layer sensors pinged a rhythmic signal, she almost dismissed it. Until she checked the frequency pattern. It was not natural. It matched an unknown pulse signature, neither tectonic nor geothermal. It was like a heartbeat. She pinged central. Delta 7 to Geneva. We have movement. Cryolayer ice mass is shifting. Define shifting. Define awake. Orbit, UNSS Galileo science vessel, above the Pacific. Dr. Chow stood on the observation deck, staring out into the stars. Tamarin stood beside him. No pressure suit. Just there. You're not worried about radiation? Chow asked. I carry my own sun. Chow gave a dry smile. Then tell me what this all means. The triple helix. The thing in the monastery. The pulse under Antarctica. Why now? Tamarin didn't answer immediately. Then he said, because Earth is not just a planet. It is a containment field. Chow stiffened. For what? Tamarin turned. His face was sorrow. For something older than even us. Something you were meant to forget. Until your species began evolving fast enough to unlock it. Geneva, President's Briefing Room, 4:14 Greenwich Mean Time. President Lindholm watched the new scan with a pit growing in her gut. It wasn't a genome map anymore. It was a holographic globe, projected by EarthGov's most secure biological AI after decoding Tamarin's spiral. A map of Earth overlaid with dozens of markers. Buried beneath mountains. In the deepest trenches. And one directly beneath the Vatican. Each location pulsed with the same frequency. A message. A rhythm. A warning. We are sealed. You must not knock. Ancient recording, unknown origin, played via Tamarin's neurocrystal interface. The transmission was older than galactic civilization. It played in soundless vibration. But the message translated cleanly across every species algorithm. We rose when the stars were young. We fell before names were given. Our war broke the moon, scarred the sea, and poisoned memory. This world is our tomb. And your cradle. Do not try to awaken what dreams below. It dreams of you. Meanwhile, Earth's mantle layer, 670 kilometers deep, unknown pocket. Heat signature spiked. Seismic activity localized. A single, precise voice echoed up through iron and fire. Not sound. Not speech. Just meaning. Reyes. Not a call. Not a threat. To summon. And somewhere in the void between Luna and Mars, a Black Ops ship changed course. Its designation, SH-17. Its pilot, Ash Reyes. And he had no idea why his blood had just started burning. Nepal, final words of section. Tamarin stood once more at the surface, beside Lindholm and Chow. He placed the orb into Dr. Chow's hands. It vibrated, warm, alive. You still don't understand, Chow whispered. No, said Tamarin. But you will. Lindholm asked, what do we do? Tamarin turned toward the stars. And for the first time since arriving, he looked afraid. You prepare to meet your ancestors. The ones who never left. And you pray that they are still sleeping. Location. Near lunar orbit, classified human vessel SH-17, Umbra Drift. Ash Reyes woke mid-drift. Not from a dream. From a summon. His hands trembled, and that never happened, not even during black site extractions or deep code infiltration ops. But now, the bones in his forearms buzzed. The blood behind his eyes itched like it was trying to spell something. Reyes. 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 Not auditory. Not neural. Cellular. The voice was calling from below. From Earth. But not from the surface. From under it. He glanced at the onboard interface. No human signal had triggered this wake. No mission protocol. No recall order. And yet, the ship was already changing course. Toward Earth. Toward Nepal. Location. Galactic Council Chamber Emergency Convocation. The council had gone quiet. For once. Across the chamber floated a 3D lattice of DNA. Not human, not exactly, but close enough. The markers matched Earth's triple helix anomaly. The horror? They weren't just in humans. Traces of the third spiral now appeared in over 212 known species across the galaxy. Buried in junk code. Deep ancestral strands. Latent. Dormant. Forgotten. Until Earth's recent pulse activated them. Across the room, Ambassador Shure of the Threeni Confederacy stood. My people's blood has begun to sing, Chancellor. We don't know the words, but we know they were never meant for us. A Kalari war priest trembled, antennae rigid. My hatchlings drew maps in the sand last night. Glyphs we've never taught. We ran them through translation. Guess what language it matched? The chamber waited. He slammed the image into the air. Sanskrit. An ancient Terran tongue. A language no one taught them. Geneva, EarthGov Strategic Command, 1723 local time. President Lindholm stared at a new projection. Antarctica, satellite view, updated hourly. The ice shelf had cracked, not from climate but from precision. A spiral pattern had formed across 12 kilometers of ancient ice. Perfect geometry. Glowing faintly. Projected growth rate? She asked. Dr. Okonkwo answered without looking away from the display. Within 72 hours, it'll match the size of the oldest known Kithari city ship. Lindholm looked to her defense secretary. Any word from the Kithari? They're leaving. Their entire fleet just entered subdimensional slip space. No communication. No warning. They're running? No, ma'am, he whispered. They're retreating. Like this isn't the first time. Nepal, Sarna Monastery Ridge, 306. Tamarin Zel stood beneath the stars, gazing southward. He could feel it now. The blood awakening beneath the crust. The song was getting louder. Ash Reyes landed silently, like gravity bowed to his will. The small Black Ops drop craft shimmered into camouflage, disappearing behind him like it had never existed. Tamarin turned without surprise. You heard it, he said. Ash nodded once. I felt it. In my spine. What is it? Tamarin paused before answering. It's a memory that your species was never supposed to carry. A warning woven into your marrow. And the others? Tamarin tilted his head. The stars were never sterile, Ash Reyes. Earth has bled into more worlds than you understand. Ash's jaw tightened. What does it want? Tamarin didn't blink. You. It's calling you. Flashback. 9 months prior, EarthGov Black Archive beneath Lagos. A hidden file, audio only. Labeled, Reyes Undersea. Dr. Mallory, lead researcher. We've introduced a nanostem into the triple helix region. Subject Reyes is responding faster than predictive AI models suggest. Agent Pollux, define responding. Dr. Mallory, his body is creating instructions. He's not mutating. He's decoding something. Agent Pollux, what kind of instructions? Dr. Mallory, coordinates. Location patterns. One for an ice-locked site in Antarctica. Agent Pollux, what's there? Dr. Mallory, a heartbeat. End of recording. Location, Antarctica, entry site, Thorns Hollow. The spiral pattern had completed. And the ice didn't melt. It retracted as if something beneath it had claimed ownership of the surface above. From deep inside the opening rose a shape, not metal, not stone. A structure of bone and memory. Carved with glyphs matching the ones found on prehistoric cave walls around the world. All leading to one symbol. Reyes. Orbit, Council Ship, Vigilance. They watched from above, horrified. What is it? Whispered one of the Zarn delegates. Not a city, muttered another. Not a tomb, added a third. Then the projection changed, Earth's crust showing new fault lines. Not outward. Not explosive. Inward. Focused. The planet wasn't breaking. It was unlocking. And the key? Ash Reyes. Final scene, deep within Thorns Hollow. Ash stepped into the spiral. The air shifted. Time bent. Reality stretched like fabric, remembering a tear. Voices, his own voice, echoed from the walls. We buried it because we feared it. We encoded it because we needed to forget. But Earth remembers. And now so do I. He touched the central stone. And the hollow lit up, not with fire or light but with truth. A story played through sensation and blood. A war older than matter. A god made of ideas and instinct. And the one species who bounded inside a world. Humanity. Not descendants of the seal. The creators. Ash staggered back. Tamarin appeared beside him. You asked what the galaxy forgot, he whispered. It wasn't just Earth. Ash clenched his fists. They forgot us. Location, Thorns Hollow, core chamber. Ash Reyes stood with his palm against the obsidian heartstone, now pulsing beneath his touch, sinking with his blood. The glyphs on the walls swirled around him in concentric rings of light, memory, and something older than both. Tamarin stood just behind, silent. He did not interrupt. He couldn't. Because this was no longer a Kithari matter. This was human business. Ash's body trembled, but not from fear. From clarity. The memories flooding him weren't like dreams or visions. They were instructions. Not told in words. Not even shown in images. They unfolded in instinct. He knew how the seal had been made. He knew why the others had fled. And above all, he now understood the triple helix. It wasn't a mutation. It wasn't alien contamination. It was a failsafe. Built into early humanity by humanity itself. Or whatever version of it existed before the fall. Before Earth's skies were scrubbed. Before the bones of titanic machines were buried under continents. before the entire planet was rebranded as innocent. Because they had done something so unthinkable. They chose to forget what they were. Elsewhere, orbiting Galactic Council ship, Sanctity. Panic. The news had reached them. More species now showed helix anomalies. Children across the galaxy were drawing Earth's glyphs in their sleep. Empathic races were reporting mass dreams. Hallucinations. Visions of a cage, cracking. Ambassador Jern of the Valerii stood before the Central Council. "This isn't a genetic fluke," she shouted. "This is a cascade event. Earth is waking up, and it's pulling all of us with it." A dread silence followed. Then a single word from the High Arbiter. "Evacuate the core systems." Antarctica, Thorn's Hollow, core interface chamber. Tamarin finally stepped forward. "You see it now, don't you?" Ash turned slowly. "Yes," he whispered. "We sealed something away here. But not just here. Earth was the last lock, because we are the lock." Tamarin's eyes glimmered. "We knew. All this time we Kithari remembered pieces. But we thought you were a warning, not a weapon." Ash didn't blink. "We weren't made to destroy it. We were made to contain it. But if it ever tried to rise again..." He flexed his fingers. "Then we were designed to end it." Geneva, EarthGov Global Broadcast Emergency Override. Every screen. Every radio. Every satellite. Every frequency. A message began playing from the source no one could trace. Ash's voice. "You were told Earth was young. You were told we were new. That was a lie. We were once more than you can understand. And we sacrificed it, memory, history, power, so the galaxy could have peace. We left behind a warning, sealed in bone and blood. Do not try to wake what sleeps beneath Earth. But now it's stirring. Not because of us, but because you started knocking. You feared us when we were asleep. Now you'll learn what we are when we remember." Moments later, global geological event registered. Seismographs across Earth registered a synchronized tremor. Not tectonic. Rhythmic. Like a heartbeat, coming from inside the mantle. In Antarctica, a spire of unknown metal and stone erupted from the ice. A tower. Humming with light older than the stars. And from within it, a voice. It didn't speak in sound. It didn't even speak in thought. It spoke in will. "Who breaks the binding?" Ash answered aloud. "I do. Do you remember your name?" He looked to the stars. "I am Reyes. Ash Reyes." He looked down at the glowing glyphs that curled like flame across his skin now. "But before that, I was custodian." Suddenly, orbiting Council Warfleet begins to scatter. The sky above Earth flashed, not with weapons fire but recognition. Ships thousands of kilometers away spun in retreat. Others blinked out instantly, abandoning trajectories. Some simply shut down, refusing to approach. The Kithari fleet had already gone. And now the others realized why. Not because Earth was hostile, but because Earth was remembering what it used to be. And that terrified the stars. Final sequence, return to the cradle. Deep within Thorn's Hollow, the last layer of the seal began to unravel. Ash stood at the center, bathed in pulsing white light. He could feel them now. The others. The ones sealed with the god. The aspects of what humanity had once been, too dangerous, too chaotic, too powerful. Not malevolent. Just unfinished. And now they knew the key had returned. Their voices whispered as one. "What is your will, custodian?" Ash Reyes did not hesitate. He looked skyward. He thought of Earth. Of the Council. Of every alien species that called humans fragile, primitive, disposable. And he smiled. "Let the galaxy tremble. Not because we rise in anger, but because we finally remember how to stand." Broadcast ends, Galactic Council in shambles. Across the stars, panic turns to awe. Empires fracture. Wars stop mid-battle. Entire civilizations issue ceasefires, not out of peace but fear. Not of weapons. Not of vengeance. But because Earth is no longer asleep. And humans were never the children. We were the architects. The keepers. The last hope and final threat. Satellite, the end. Studio microphone. This has been another galaxy-shattering revelation from the Void Narratives. Rocket, subscribe now if this story made your blood sing and your imagination spiral into the abyss. Because this isn't fiction anymore. The stars are listening. And Earth? We just remembered who we are. Loudspeaker call to action. Like this story? Hit that subscribe button.